Thompson. Young.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Here.
Lambert. Here.
Okay, first order of business is the recognition section. We're going to start with Teacher of the Year. And Allison. Socially and athletically. He has been a leader and a role model to students in 4th grade. He participates in computer club, intramurals, and he is a treasure for student council. Anybody that was here for just that portion, you're more than welcome to stay with us, or if you'd like to leave, you can go ahead and use this point. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. Comments and questions, because we do have also at the same time have a hearing on the budget. Anybody that turned in one that is related to the budget at all, I will be calling you during that section, so don't think I forgot you when I close the floor for the public comments. Okay? You will get your chance during the budget for it. So public comments, Renee Turner from Winter Park.
Hi, Renee Turner. My first question is directed to Dee. You mentioned in your letter to the editor that you contacted a local bus company and got a figure of $146,000 for 3 buses. Does this figure include the cost of drivers, fuel, insurance, oil changes, and other maintenance during the school year?
Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, it has a certificate of insurance for liability to the tune of $10 million as the guidelines of the state code. The hiring procedures are all included, and they have internal standards that have been in place for over 30 years. They have their compensation, which is in line with standard procedures. They do drug testing, pre-employment testing, annual testing, random testing, post-accident testing, return to duty testing, responsible suspicion testing. They currently use J.J. Keller software system to administer their drug testing policies and procedures. They've been using Northwest.
But does it include the fuel?
I'm not done with this. I'll answer your question.
Well, you've answered the part that I wanted. Does it include the fuel and the cost of the
Yes, it does.
So for $146,000 a year, we get 3 buses, fuel, insurance, the cost of the drivers, oil changes, all the maintenance on the vehicles.
Correct.
So why didn't we have this deal during the past years?
Keep in mind, though, on the fuel, and I say this just simply because I work in the transportation industry, that it fluctuates. So should the national average go over $4, it could rise, minimally, but yet.
So why did it cost us thousands of dollars more previous years?
There's 3 parts to the transportation. So one part is the transportation, the bus runs you're referring to. We spend over $200,000 transporting special ed students as well. And then so the transportation last year for us cost about $400,000 grand total. And that's special ed, that's the athletic buses, that's the field trips, and that's the regular busing. The regular busing portion last year, and rough number, we ended up, I think it was $139,600 is what transportation cost the district last year. Got a price this year to do the early childhood runs and the regular runs, the 3 runs, and it was in the $40,000 range transportation after all said and done, meaning people paying some portion or whatever, would still be, best guess, right at about $100,000 mark for us for this year.
Okay.
So,
All right, aside from my question, I also have a statement. I'd like to know how many in this room who have worked the same job for the past 5 years have taken a pay cut? Okay. Okay. Would anybody in this room be willing to submit their tax returns for the scrutiny that the teachers had to go under? And how many of you have to pay to supply your classroom with instructional material? Aside from the teachers. Yeah, the teachers pay all their supplies. An average of 77% of all teachers pay anywhere from $400 to $800 a year out of pocket for their classrooms.
There's also tax reductions.
Renee.
I can't get the rest of
No,
it.
we're volunteering, but thank you.
Can we comment on that?
No.
So,
Jill,
I'm here. I'm just curious.
You have to submit a comment form.
Jill?
Oh, yeah, several.
My name is Jill Limbo. I'd like to know if there's a required number of meetings one should attend while serving on the school board.
There is not an exact number.
The reason why I'm asking is we've got one board member that I've been coming to the last 6 meetings, if not prior to that. She has not been in attendance. I want to know, I mean, with our, and we've got this amount of turnout now, why can't the one that we appointed to represent us be here?
I'm not
And I'm
sure.
sorry, I think that it's time that you as being a board need to decide whether we're going to keep her or we're going to get rid of her and replace her. But I think 6 months is long enough that we actually have to.
And we can talk to her. She was at our special board meeting that we just had the in-service, and she will be here next month on a regular basis. Okay?
And that's it.
This is Steve Bestwood from Ms. Barber.
I want to address two things tonight. First, I must address the public debating that's been going on still. Some call it transparency, I call it poisoning a community against each other. Numerous articles in the ZB News and posts on Facebook have claimed our teachers are overpaid and how they should take pay cuts so the children can have safe busing. We all know many people are angry about the transportation being cut from this year's budget, but insinuating that it's the teachers' fault for taking raises over the past couple of years is why we're in a budget shortfall is just irresponsible. There are a lot of people out there that will never dig to get the facts, but they will get angry on things they might have read in the paper. They will read some of what's printed in the newspaper as fact rather than one person's opinion, and then turn it and do things such as curse out the windows during pickup and drop-off at the teachers to give back their pay. These are the very teachers that are out there trying to keep our children safe, who have done nothing to create this mess, but seem to be the ones left to take the brunt of the attacks and workload. Stop the madness, just fix the problem, and do the job you're elected to do. Which leads me to the second issue. I'd like to address. Our teachers are overloaded this year, and the education of our children will suffer. Grades 4th, 5th, and 8th each have 70 students. Kindergarten has 2 classes of 27, sharing 1 aide. While busing is important, I believe providing our children with a quality education is priority. Winthrop Harbor teachers are awesome, but even they have limits on what they can do with overcrowded classrooms and split classes. I beg Dr. Geiser and the board to take another look at the budget and find more room for more teachers.
Hey, Ned.
Well, I've got some serious questions about serious safety hazards. When I lived in Virginia, I was forced to put my kids on a city bus and bus them for racial equality. Now, the school district did not have buses. For safety purposes, my kids got on that bus and rode through the ghetto and dodged rocks and bottles. My youngest son got a bottle chest. They hauled him to the hospital. And when I called the school to find out where my son was, well, we don't know. When I called the bus service, we put him on an ambulance and he went to the hospital. Which one? Well, it ends up, I paid for the busing. They didn't keep my kids safe. And the school's answer to this, it didn't happen on school grounds. Okay, now, fortunately, the state of Illinois has some guidelines that you're supposed to follow. I think personally you got the cart before the horse. Now, what is a serious safety hazard?
A 4-lane state highway.
That's one. State Board of Education says a serious,
It does have an overpass, but that overpass is impassable for 4 months out of the year because of the ice and snow that is not cleared on a regular basis by the village of Winthrop Harbor.
Maybe it's really clear.
the State Board of Education
That's
says
not a village
a
hazard.
serious safety hazard
Mr. Evans.
It's a safety
Yeah,
hazard.
let
is
Mr.
one
Evans
that
speak. He's
exists
speaking. Come on.
when a pupil has to walk the streets normally traveled by vehicular traffic. The nightmare on 9th Street up here, I saw kids crossing at Monroe on 9th Street. There is no school crossing signs there. I think that's pretty serious. Okay, who determines serious safety hazard? The people right in front of you here, the school board. And the reason I say you put the cart before the horse, in April, you had 4 new members, or 4 members sworn in. And without reviewing the safety hazards, you cancel busing. I think that it should make this elimination of busing null and void. And as a taxpayer who's interested in protecting the taxpayer's most valuable assets, the students, should ask the board to overturn this administration's findings and eliminate busing, or not to eliminate busing.
Who's going to pay for it?
Okay? Just a minute. Have you seen this year's budget?
It's actually on the agenda.
It's only in the agenda for the busing.
Jordan Medorsky.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. First, I want to kind of characterize Winthrop Harbor. I think it's a good microcosm of the state of Illinois. We're not an and I know statistically, there's going to be extremes on either side, but we're not an overly prosperous community, like something like Northbrook or Libertyville. And we're not a largely subsidized community like some of the other communities near us, where the tax base is supported by a lot of rental properties and Section 8 and things like that, where the landlord gets the money and he basically then pays the taxes with the money he gets from subsidized rent. No matter where we live in this town, most of us, I think, by and large, rent, own, we carry our own water here. And so I think we're a good microcosm for that. A couple of other things I wanted to say here was, I think teachers have every right to ask for every dime they can. No one's disputing that. They're in a professional career, they should be able to get it. However, I think by the same token, the taxpayer should have every right to get the most for its dollar, too. So if you're going to get a bid to roof your house this winter before winter comes, you're going to get a bid. You're going to get 2 or 3 bids. You're going to get the best deal you can for the least amount of money you can. And I'm not discrediting anybody. You do a fine job. Okay? But there are a lot of other people that could do a fine job in our community as well. And quite frankly, if somebody could do just as good a job for $10,000 or $15,000 more, or less, pardon me, I think I take that. Okay, just for the sake in pure dollar terms. Okay, all emotion, all sentiment aside. And I voted for the last referendum in 2006. Okay, I voted to get PE back. I voted to get band back. I voted for after-school activities, and I voted for a modest increase in pay. did not vote for 15 to 18% raise over the course of from 2007 to 2010 during the recession. Okay? Now, I realized I didn't know it was coming, but there was no effort to claw any of this back. Okay? And I know technically a recession is 2 quarters of down gross domestic product. Okay? If anybody thinks this is a recovery, when you think that a lot of households are 100% debt to GDP, believe me, we got a long way to go before you can call this a recovery. And I think last month there was a very well-spoken testimony from another local business person told you just how tough it is. Okay, I'll move on here as quick as I can so other people will want to
George, you
talk.
got about 15 seconds.
Okay, bottom line, okay, school buses are, go back to before World War II. The fact that we have seen fit to get rid of them instead of other things, to me, is really, it's not fair. And if I may, one more question. I understand, and I've seen a lot, and I've been part of the whole conversation and everything else, and I'm sure people are mad at me, but I'm kind of taken by the fact that the people that are parents that are against busing and say it's too bad to the parents who need the busing, too bad, you got to figure that out on your own. To the taxpayers, you say, too bad, pay it.
Nobody said
But
that.
when it comes to raising
Jordan.
the salary, that you want to cut. I don't get it. I don't understand your priorities. Thank you very much.
In case anybody's counting, I'm trying to give everybody about 3 minutes. It sounds like you're wrapping up. I'm giving you a couple seconds over.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry.
Pam Conley.
Well, this is a pretty short question, actually, and I would like to, just for the record, find out again, regarding the recent referendum, why was the request for $4.4 million over a 4-year period when retaining the bus transportation over that 4-year period would have cost under $1 million? How would the remaining $3 million have been spent, aside from retaining 4 teachers? So that's my question.
Dennis said he'll send you a response on where that was supposed to go.
Thank you.
Okay? Yeah. Bro.
Back to the busing thing. In the spring, we were given numbers of 220,000 for the 3 buses, or 280 from the April minutes, or not the minutes, but the video that was taken there. Now that it appears we have a new quote of quite a bit less, which equals out to be a real small percentage of that budget, what is the likelihood, like was mentioned earlier, that a lot of the board members weren't up to speed on all this stuff? Now they are up to speed, perhaps we'll reconsider that. It's almost half of the initial, or what was thought was last spring.
And in light of the quotes that Dennis got, it is on the agenda again.
Okay, you got quotes on regular busing as well?
I did, and Devin, we told you we were paying about $140,000 for transportation, and we paid last year $139,600.
Right here, you said, that was right, but since the governor's proposal to balance, he's talking about doubling the amount of money we pay for transportation. So instead of it being $140 for 4 buses, he's talking about $280. I don't understand how the governor has any say how we handle our affairs.
The governor was going to pay less for schools for transportation. It still isn't defined at this point. The $140,000 is the least. This year, I've got down, we turned in our form, $139,600. That's the most I'm going to get. I may well get less. Because they'll decide as they go whether or not they pay their last payment. So at this point, when he was talking, there was a proposal by the governor to double the amount, to cut in half the amount schools would get for transportation. So if I had to pay $140, he was saying, all we're going to do is have you pay $280. And it still isn't defined, they still haven't agreed on a budget. But I'm counting on us having to spend $100,000+ if we put busing back.
Okay, I understand that, but like, I watched that video a couple times, and it was really confusing for me
Yeah.
then, and even watching it a couple times, and I imagine it was for some of the board members as well. But, being that it's roughly 140 for 3 buses, you know, I understand the, special ed is a separate issue. That's already in the budget, correct? And
Yes, sir.
That's going no matter what.
Yes, sir.
So it's pretty minor. What is it, like 2% of the entire budget? It'd be, I don't, personally, for me, I can drop my kid off and pick him up. It's no different. But I hate to see somebody get injured or hurt and we're trying to educate them, but how can you educate a kid in the hospital?
Okay. All right, thanks, David.
Schools, and I would venture to guess there's nobody in this room that can doubt that I've spent more time in that parking lot than you guys spend in your own driveways. For the last 10 years, I've been at all 3 schools every day, pick up and drop off. Today was the very first day I actually got to experience this. I went to Westfield School. I don't know about North Prairie, but I have to say kudos to you teachers that were out there. Mrs. Hodge, Kim Young. I have never seen it that organized and that safe in 10 years. So whoever's complaining about how unsafe it is, you should have seen it before. This was amazing today. I don't know what North Prairie was, but it was so organized, and these teachers did such a good job taking care of each and every kid individually, getting in the car. I was amazed. I was absolutely blown away. I can't believe what all the complaints are about, because before it was chaos. The teachers were maybe one out there, the kids were running around in between cars, and the first couple days maybe might have been different than today. But it was awesome, and thank you.
It's not at the school, it's the ones that walk.
Did I comment on that part? No. I was commenting on the school parking lot.
So, being in the medical field, an educator myself, I'm curious to know, what does it make my child special that I cannot get busing from the tax money that I give to the city? Mr. Geiser, please look at me when I'm speaking, because I'm upset at this.
I'm writing
And the
notes
mere
so I
fact
can
that the
respond to
first
your
day of
comments.
school, Miss Lambert, thank you. All the teachers that were out there just hovering over the kids because of the lightning and the thunder. My baby had open heart surgery. I had to hear you cry on the phone, and it didn't do anything, because nobody protected the kids except for those teachers back there who's been putting up with the crap ever since last year. Between getting pay raises, cutting the buses, they're more worried about our children than each of you are, and you gotta be ashamed of yourself.
This time we're going to close the floor for public comments and questions and move on to the public hearing for the fiscal year 2012 budget. I have one person that has asked to speak about the budget, Lenny Jarrett, from Round Lake Beach.
I'm here to kind of talk about the budget a little bit, and I want to tell you one quick thing about the busing. If you end up getting, kid ends up getting hurt, you're going to spend more in a lawsuit than you would have ever spent on your budget. I took a look at the budgets over the last several years, basically from 2004 through up to 2010, from what I can find at the ISBE website, from the county website. Your budget has increased by around 70% in that time. Your taxes and levy has increased about 70% in that time. Inflation has been less than 20%. Your student population has dropped nearly 20%. You're sitting there, you have all this extra money, and all you're doing is spending, spending, spending. You're never saving for a rainy day. You're never looking forward to the point. And you can see the state every year. They cut back. They don't always give you all this money. This coming year, your student aid is only going to be at the max 95% of the formula. So you've got to start figuring out how to budget, how to plan for a rainy day, because you're not doing it, and you cannot continue to spend and to increase your budget every single year. The families out here, you saw earlier how many families have taken pay cuts. How many families up here are unemployed? How many houses do you have in Winthrop Harbor that are in foreclosure because of the situation? How many businesses have gone out of business? You can't continue to raise taxes. Your budget tonight, I'm assuming, I'll ask you this, does it include a levy increase for December? Did you budget with that already in place? So you're already budgeting, ready to increase taxes again this year coming up. You know, the people can't continue to afford this. Now, the one teacher did say, one comment here for the teacher, that, I mean, and we keep hearing every day, shared sacrifice, shared sacrifice. Why are the parents and the taxpayers the only ones ever asked to sacrifice? I will ask you one question for the teachers union when they're doing their negotiations. When they ask for a pay raise, ask them which teacher they want fired. Because when they continually give pay raises in this type of economy, in this type of recession, those pay raises are what's causing the rifts every year. Those pay raises are what's causing the classroom sizes to continue to go up. If they want more teachers during this type of economy, you need to freeze pay or even cut pay.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Does anybody else have any comments or questions versus the public hearing portion of the agenda? Yes.
Okay, first of all, nobody ever said they didn't want buses. Dr. Geiser didn't, no one did. So you guys quit with that crap because nobody's ever said that. Cuts have to be made. I would rather see buses be cut than art and music and athletics that teach my child. When my kid gets to high school and is up for scholarships, nobody's going to say, oh, that kid rode in a bus to school every day. Let's give him a scholarship. My kid's going to get a scholarship from sports and stuff that they learn in school. Buses have nothing to do with education. It is a parent's responsibility to get
Maybe yours will be the one that gets run over. Maybe yours will be the one that gets run over.
You guys are
Okay, hey. That's enough, please. Just a second. Ma'am? Sit down, please. Thank you. That's enough. Okay, that's enough. Please address the board and not the audience, please.
What about the sexual offenders? 2 last year?
I've got somebody back here with their hand up. Yes.
I do not have a child in the school system.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you state your name for me, please? And you're from what department?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have a child that goes to the school, but my roommate does. But I want to know 2 questions. A, how are you going to answer to the parents and the children of the schools if someone gets kidnapped or molested by the numerous sex offenders in our area, or if gets hit by a car and killed? What are you guys putting in place to take care of that? And especially in the winter months, when the roads...
Okay, hold on just a second. This portion is on the budget, not on busing at this point. We're talking about the budget. Okay? Okay, hold on. Kim Leach.
And nobody's worried about that.
Okay. My name is Kim Leach. I've lived in Winter Harbor my entire life. A few years back, we did have to cut athletics. Okay? We were in the audience when we cut athletics. And one thing that Dee Giorgio said with her campaign all over Facebook with all the other rants and raves was that she was going to bring money back into this district and fundraisers. What did we do when the athletics were cut? We, with the same, there are some kids that are going to thrive at high school with athletics, with band, with whatever. We fundraised. All I see you doing is creating havoc in our community. And
I'm a member of the public and I am asking to respond to it.
Sitting there, you were a board member.
Dr. Geiser.
Is there anybody else in reference to the budget? Yes, sir.
My name is Roy Adams. I've been out here since 1975. All 3 of my kids have gone through this. My 4 children have gone through the school district. Me and my wife was here the last 2 times you guys wanted to raise the taxes. Okay, the first time it got voted down, true. I voted against it. Okay, second time, come up here and they kept saying, it's for the kids, it's for the kids. This gentleman at the end of the thing here stood right to my face and told me it's for the kids. So what happens this time around? You all get raises. I've taken a 15% cut in my pay the last 2 years. Why couldn't you all figure out the last time around where the money was going to have to be saved and kept for a rainy day? You didn't do it. You didn't sell raises. And for somebody to make $170,000 to run 2 little schools is ridiculous. Wants a $10 million golden parachute and then run the company into the ground, take his money and say, I got mine.
Okay, thank you. Your time's up. Michelle Good?
I am Michelle Good. I have 3 kids in the district, and because of where we lived, we have never had bus services been offered to us. So my kids have had to walk down 7th Street with no sidewalk. They have to cross 9th Street. Sometimes without a crossing guard. And in the 15, 16 years that I've had kids going to school, none of them have ever been approached by a stranger. None of them have gotten hit by a car. But I do understand people coming from across Sheridan Road, there's busing issues. It's dangerous for some of these kids. But I urge the board, if there is money in the budget for anything, it would be to get some more teachers back on board. The impact that would have would be on a larger number of students, would improve their educational process, which is exactly what a school is to do, is to educate.
Anything else on the budget?
Can I?
On the budget? Okay, the hearing is now closed. And we're going to move on to the consent agenda items.
Time I'll be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Make a motion.
Okay, second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to ask to have in the agenda portion, action items A and B swapped around, because we cannot really vote to reinstate regular transportation after the 2012 budget is approved. If we are going to vote to reinstate regular bus transportation, we must make adjustments to the 2012 budget and put it back up for review. So I'd like to swap action items A and B.
It's going to be approval of the agenda on separate consideration. I know, but what she's asking for is the approval of the agenda be taken out of the consent agenda items and considered separately.
Okay, now that I have another one. Okay, in the minutes, I would like to have those pulled out. I would like to clarify, when Superintendent Geiser responded to the question about teacher sick days, he did not answer fully. There are 15 sick days allotted to teachers throughout the current contract. If 0 sick days are used, each teacher will receive a $125 bonus by July 15th of the following year. Additionally, sick days do roll over and can be purchased back at retirement time. So if this question was going to be answered as sick days are not a problem for the district, that is the entire answer, and I would like to have that reflected in the budget. So I'd like to have the minutes pulled out and adjusted.
To kind of learn, having so many new board members, kind of get everybody on the same page as far as how the boards work, what the common practices are to work together to get common goals accomplished. We came up with a list of items that things that we decided to agree upon. And next board meeting what will happen is this will be written up, possibly look at putting some of them into policies down the road. But we'll be going over everything that was done, in everybody's packet what we talked about, and we'll be voting to basically agree on all these items next month. Some of the things were just communications between us and the administration, us and the public, us and the media, those type of items. So, got any questions on any of that, guys? We're pretty much all there. Okay. Next item is board policies.
5 board policies that we're looking at, specifically dealing with school board, professional personnel. The state is changing the evaluation system related to teachers, changing the rules related to substitute teachers. Many of the policy pieces that we have here reflect those changes. And for a month, the policies will be available for board members to look at and then brought for action next time and/or for discussion prior to action if board members have questions.
And that was one of the things, it just reminded me of 2 things that Jack mentioned was there are some certifications that we board members do have to have now. I believe that those are signed. And also, as far as the board self-evaluation, they had a couple of recommended templates. So whether it's we do it as board or we take the policy committee or whatever, we'll still have to decide on that and come up with one of the templates so we can start using their templates for our board evaluation. Okay, on to the action items. Action item A, adoption of fiscal year 2012 budget. Looking for a motion to approve the 2012 fiscal year budget.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Can we vote, please?
Thompson.
I'm sorry. Discussion.
Yes, as far as the budget goes, are we once again going to include administrative telephones and pay those monthly?
As of right now, it's still in the budget.
Okay, may I ask who Charlotte Water, Garrett Hodge, and Kelsey Hodge are?
Yes, ma'am.
Who are they?
Pat, in order to have the plan, the family plan, her 2 children and her mother are there, she pays their bills. They are part of that family plan and she pays everything their bills cost.
And where do we see that incoming revenue in the revenue into the district? Where do we see that? That it could go up to $280,000. It seems that we were misled about the cost as doubling as we were told in April.
We still don't know how much we're getting from
May
the state.
I finish my address to the chair, please? Okay. I think that under Robert's rules, I'm allowed to address the chair.
Why do you keep interrupting?
She's interrupting people.
You never did that, though.
You guys need to be quiet. Let them talk and be quiet.
We can have 3 full-service buses for $146,000, which we kept on when we closed Spring Bluff School. This individual's position was eliminated. We could have easily hired a gym teacher at $30,000 to $40,000 rather than supporting an administrator who has enjoyed salary increases of over $30,000 in the last 4 years. Please vote no on this budget, and please vote yes to reinstate our school buses so that our children are not put in harm's way when it snows this year. This needs to be cut. We need to revisit the budget, or you need to step down, Dr. Geiser.
May I make a comment? As a board member who's been on here for many years, I'm going to object to say that anybody was misled. We had numerous meetings on budget items, whether they be cuts in busing, different school day. We had meetings with the public. We had meetings as a board. I don't think, if you don't like us as board members, then the next election, feel free to vote us out. But I have two grandkids that I help get to school.
Public comments are closed. Please keep your comments to yourself. Thank you.
Here's my point. My point is that the board has voted. I don't think it's fair to be blaming Dr. Geiser, we got this one.
Now you're out of order. 2011-12 application for recognition of school. I need a motion for approving that, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Dan, call roll, please.
Young,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Lambert,
Yes.
Georgios,
Yes.
Heine,
Yes.
Leach,
Yes.
Thompson.
Cost to school,
Can you read that email, Dr. Geiser?
no, not yet. We're going through and doing Friday, no, you got it, so you're all set. Safe routes to school included are 2 emails about a program that Kim Young thought we would look into. I've sent it on to the chief, and we'll try to get information regarding the village and the district going together to write a grant to end up with more sidewalks. Supposedly there's money for that. The grant would be due in July. Capital watch, just information and package heads. That's it.
Permission to address the chair? I would like to reiterate on one of the items that Dr. Geiser has spoken about, which is an email from a resident, Mike and Kelly Kleihauer. This email is for the school board. First of all, I think it is ridiculous that an email that is meant for the school board has to be read by you first. However, on this topic, I don't care who cares, who hears me. I picked up my 2 junior high schools from school today and all went okay. We started to drive to Westfield to pick up my not because of the traffic pattern. Why were these children not kept inside, and why were the teachers not outside getting wet with these students? And where was the school board that voted to take away the buses? It does not bother me to have to wait my turn to pick up my child. That's fine. But keep them safe.
Hold on, stop, please.
While I navigate through the mess you have voted to create. One final thing, and this is important. I think Ms. Woods should be recognized because I saw her out there with her clothes soaked and drenched, putting her kindergartners in their cars. That brought tears to my eyes. I was so grateful to know that at least one teacher had a heart and went above and beyond her job. I did see the superintendent out there, but again, where was the school board who voted no? The 3 teachers that I did see out